Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a fun but expensive card game. When a playset of lightning storms and other staples cost $100 a piece, how are you even supposed to afford it? Rather than taking the reckless sealed only route and relying on luck only, I'm going to be taking a much more practical approach. Using my knowledge of the market and just $10 a week, my goal is to climb the competitive ladder and eventually top a YCS or Nationals. This is Yu-Gi-Oh! On a Budget. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! On a Budget. So, I really liked the remote duel episode from the last week's episode, and so I decided to go ahead and try it again. And we have two new cards to add to our list. These are two extra deck cards. Let's go ahead and first of all showcase to you that I did get double sleeves for my extra deck. It's actually really nice. Unfortunately, I don't have it for my main deck. As you can tell, they are just the normal one-sleeved. I'm not exactly too sure if I should use these exact same sleeves for the main deck or if I should get some just generic clear sleeves. I think I'll probably just get some generic clear sleeves, but we'll see how it goes. So for today's budget, I only picked up two cards in our extra deck, and unfortunately one of these cards did not arrive in time, so I'm using a higher upgraded version of the card. So we have invested in some cards to counter the Dogmatika engine, specifically Maximus, since it's the best way to do it in the extra deck since it doesn't require any bricks in your main deck, and we have a lot of space in our extra deck, so there's no reason to not play these cards. So we are picking up Cyber Dragon Nova, which for right now this is our ultra rare copy, but I am going to be switching this out for the common as soon as I get the card, since it's obviously cheaper. I believe this is like $5 for the ultra. We don't want to pay that. I think the common is like $1, maybe $1.50. So obviously we are going to be playing the much cheaper version of the card so that we can have a better budget for the future. And the card that we are going to be summoning, obviously, is our copy of Makaba. I mean, there are a couple targets. If you wanted, we could summon, like, Cyber and Dragon, but I don't think there's really any reason to do that, since Makaba is literally a Spell Trap negate, or Monster negate, obviously by discarding the same type of card. These are the two cards that we are investing in today's video. They're only going to come up if we play against Dogmatika, which I think we've only played against that deck once in this entire series. So that is a little unfortunate, but we will see what we can do with it. And so for the deck profile for today, I'm not going to be really showcasing the deck profile since literally nothing has changed in our deck. It's literally just the same old deck that we've been playing probably for the last two episodes. It's pretty much identical to what we've been playing, and obviously the side deck is the same at this point as well. For now, this is just the most optimal list, and all of the cards are up on the screen right now. I have a screenshot of it that I will be showcasing to you guys in place of me obviously showing the deck profile, since I think that it will be a little bit better to see. The last thing that I wanted to say is a shout out to Logan from Crush Cards for letting me participate and record and commentate on the matches that I will be using for today's video. I participated in their tournament, which is what I am going to be using for today's footage for obviously today's episode. Also, shoutouts to my opponents. I don't exactly remember everyone's name, but you will see some of their footage, and I really do appreciate them also letting me use their footage for today's episode. If you do want to participate in Crush Cards tournaments, I will be leaving a link in the description below to their Discord server, and you can go ahead and join that. With all of that said, let's go ahead and see what matches we have for today. So all of the clips today come from Crush Cards tournament, and in this match specifically we are up against Ice Knight and he is playing Orcust, and as you see, basically I'm just going to be showing some highlights. So he normal summoned Connector that gets hit with the Gamma, and then he was able to end with like an IP basically, which is like okay because he had a Babel face up, which means he can like reborn like the Gear Suit with a skeleton from the graveyard, but basically we're just able to stop that with a Cosmic Cyclo, just banishing the Babel, which means he doesn't really do anything, and we can just build up to our big board of just like a Conductor Terreno and Lagia, and basically he can't really out that, so we're able to take game number one. And moving into game number two, we finish our end board with a Lagia and a Dynamos Fingertops, and unfortunately he's unable to out that board, so the next turn we just make our big board of just you know, the Chambara plus Conductor Terreno plus Fingertops, and unfortunately for him he's unable to out that, so we are also going to take game number two. After this match, we participate in 3 other matches, but unfortunately the footage ended up getting corrupted. But the matches included Hero and Monarchs, which we 2-0'd both of those players, and I honestly don't remember who we faced off in the finals, but we ended up losing that match and getting 3rd place overall, which is pretty solid actually. So we end up participating in a second tournament a few weeks later, which I actually streamed to both Twitch and YouTube. So if you are interested in watching me play live, I'd suggest hitting the notification bell on YouTube or follow me over on Twitch, which the link will be in the description below. And our first match is against none other than Crush Cards Logan herself. So first off, shoutouts to Logan if you're watching. This match was a ton of fun, and let's go ahead and get right into it. So I win the die roll and opt to go first, and my hand is really weird, so I activate Lost World and then I set 4 cards and pass.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
You just activated Lost World set 4? What the?
On her turn, she goes with a Pot of Extravagance, banishing 6 cards from her extra deck face down, drawing 2 cards. Obviously I have no interruption for that, and then she's going to follow it up with a Red Eyes Fusion, fusing a Dark Magician and a Red Eyes from her deck to summon a Dark Dragoon. Obviously it is 500 points lower due to Lost World, but then she's going to mirror me and set 4 back row and attack for 2500, and then I decide not to do anything in the end phase. I draw for turn and I use a Cosmic Cyclone, and then she chains Imperial Order. I have no idea what I was thinking by activating it in the standby phase, so we scoop it up and go to game 2. She activates Extravagance as well, a banishing 6, drawing 2, and then I believe that she goes with 3 set back row and a set monster and passes her turn. I draw for turn, and I believe I go with a Twin Twisters followed up with a Cosmic Cyclone. I don't chain the Cosmic Cyclone in fear of a Imperial Order, so I do it in a separate chain to get rid of the last back row. Then I follow up with a Pankratops, and then I normal summon a copy of Oviraptor and use the effect to search for a miscellaneous source. I can use Miss as Chainlink 1 and then my Pankratops as Chainlink 2 to hit the monster in case if it is a dupe frog, so it misses timing, but then she decides to just scoop it up, so we go to game 3. She starts off again and uses Red Eyes Insight to dump Wyvern to the graveyard and search for Red Eyes Fusion, and then fusing obviously the Red Eyes and the Dark Magician to get a Dragoon to the field. So the reason that she actually does the Insight is really cool, since you can bring back the Dark Dragoon if you happens to get outed with the Wyvern effect, and then she sets 2 back row and obviously passes her turn. So I start with my turn. I believe that in the standby phase I use a Cosmic Cyclone yet again to hit one of the back row, and then she uses the Dark Dragoon to negate it, which is actually really interesting. So we go into main phase and I use Dark Ruler No More, which is going to negate the Dragoon, and it does actually reduce its attack to its original attack to the 3000. Then I go with the Lost World to reduce it even further to 2500. Normal summon Oviraptor, Ovi is Chainlink 1, Lost World Chainlink 2 to give her a token, search for Pankratops, and I special the Pankratops since she has the Dragoon and the token. And then I can go ahead and I believe go into battle phase here. She attempts to use Canadia, and then I go like chain Pankratops, but we actually can't do that because she actually controls a Lost World token, which actually isn't appearing on her field right now. So she actually can't because she doesn't control the token. So I use the Pankratops to swing over 100 damage over the copy of Dragoon. She takes no damage to Dark Ruler No More, and then I can use my Oviraptor to hit over the token, summon a miscellaneous source out of the deck by destroying Baby. Then in main phase 2 I can use my copy of Pankratops to hit one of the back row, and then I can go ahead and then use the Oviraptor effect to destroy the token that she has on the field after the chain resolves, and then it will special summon back the Pankratops, and then I just go ahead and decide to go over into a copy of Lagia. So she had nothing on resolution, which was a little strange. She could have booked like my Pankratops, which would have been pretty good, but then in the end phase she just goes with a Lagia. I decided to just let it go through because like otherwise I'm just losing the materials on the Lagia for no reason. She draws her turn, but then she just decides to go straight to the end phase and use Wyvern's effect to bring back the Dark Dragoon, so it's going to be kind of hard for me to out that, but I can just switch my monsters to attack mode, and then I can use my Pankratops to just attack over the Dark Dragoon, and then the Lagia for another 2400 damage, or actually it's going to be 1900, so actually she should be at 6000 life points. I know the counter is a little bit off there. Main phase 2 I use the Fossil Dig to search for an Oviraptor, and then chain 1 Oviraptor, chain 2 Lost World, give her a token, and then I can, you know, obviously search for the Miss, and then I can use like the Oviraptor effect to pop the token, destroy Baby in deck instead, summon a Rex, overlay for Tornado Dragon so I can deal with whatever her back row is, She just decides to go ahead and set a monster and set a back row and pass her turn. I believe that in the end phase here, I think I decide to use the Tornado Dragon to hit one of the back row, and then I follow it up with a Chain of Pankratops to hit the monster, because if it is a Duke Frog, then she will miss timing on the search. I go into battle phase here, and then I attack for 16 and 19, I believe, so that's 35. So that actually will put her at 2,500, I believe. I think the life points are a little bit off on the counter on the right. And I believe that I did actually have game here because I believe I have a miss in hand, so I could have just used it to get a load to the field, link for link Rebo, and then to secure. But then she just has nothing on the following turn due to extravagance, so I can just go ahead and laggy and negate that, and then she's going to scoop it up. In round 2, we go against a Salamangreat player, and he starts off with a normal summon of Spinny, links off into Balinks, and searches for the Salamangreat Sanctuary field spell. Then he can go with a copy of Pot of Desires, banishing the top 10 cards of his deck face down, and then he's going to draw 2 cards, and then I believe that he goes with a effect of Spinny to summon itself back, and then he's going to link off the Spinny and the Balinks into a Sunlight Wolf, activates the field spell, and then he's going to reincarnate the Sunlight Wolf into another copy of itself, and then he's going to set a card in the back row and pass his turn. I drop for turn, and then I start off with a Cosmic Cyclone, banishing the back row so I just don't have to deal with it. It's pretty nice, and then I can just go ahead with a Fossil Dig to search for an Oviraptor, and then I can normal summon this Oviraptor, and I believe that I am going to search for a Miscellaneousaurus here. And then I can go ahead and I believe that I'm using the Miscellaneousaurus here to discard it and then use its banish effect to banish it and summon the Jirac Aolo. And then we link off the Aolo into a Link Rebo and then into a Secure Gardna. I know the zones are a little messed up here, but I believe I do correct it here in a second by just switching the positions of the Secure and the Conductor Tyranno. And then we're just going to go straight into battle phase and use the Conductor Tyranno to attack over the copy of Sunlight Wolf. He's going to take 1,700 points of damage, and then he's going to protect it with Balinks, and then my Oviraptor is going to crash it, and then I'm going to attack with the Secure Gardna, so he takes 2,700 total. I set 2 back row, and I pass turn. Then I believe he starts with a second copy of Pot of Desires, benching another 10 cards face down. He takes a look at his hand, and then he decides, yeah, let's just go into game number 2. In game 2, he decides to go first, and he starts off with a Silent Mining, discarding a Ash Blossom and Joy Spring to search for a copy of Lady Debug, and then he decides to go ahead and normal summon that and search for his copy of Gazelle. And then he goes ahead and uses the Lady Debug as link material for a copy of Salamangreat Balinks. Uses Balinks as Chainlink 1. He attempts to use Gazelle and a Parallel Exceed, but you actually can't use both of the effects in your hand, so he decides to just go with the Parallel Exceed to summon from deck. Then he searches for the copy of the field spell and then uses the Parallel Exceed to search or to special summon another Exceed from the deck. Activates the Sanctuary, and then he reincarnates the Balinks into another one and then activates the Gazelle from hand. Special summons it and then sends a copy of Jaguar to the graveyard, and then he can go ahead and just link those off into a copy of Sunlight Wolf. Sunlight Wolf is going to send back the Sunlight Wolf and special summon itself back, and then uses the Sunlight Wolf's effect to bring back the Gazelle. I hit that with a Ghost Bell. I probably should have waited for the I probably should have actually just used it on the Jaguar effect, but it doesn't quite matter. He overlays for a Dweller, sets 2 back row, activates Dweller in the standby phase, and at this point I'm not really in that great of a position, but I'm going to try and play through it. So I go ahead and I use the copy of Miscellaneousaurus, discarding it from my hand, and then I can use a Fossil Dig and then search for a copy of Oviraptor. So this is just to play around Solemn Strike if he happens to have it. So we go ahead and we activate our Lost World from the hand, and then we normal summon our Oviraptor, use their effects to give him a token, and then Oviraptor is going to attempt to send the token to grave, and we're just going to special summon back the Miscellaneousaurus. Otherwise, we're going to be locked into Baby Ceratosaurus, since obviously we're under Dweller. He Solemn Strikes our Tornado Dragon when we make it, and we obviously just have to set a back row, and we pass our turn. At that point, we're just going to get access code like update Dammer OTK, so we just go into game number 3. Game number 3 is very, very long and very, very anticlimactic. So basically what happens is that he's able to make a access code talker with 5,300 attack, I guess 4,800 if you count the Lost World reduction in attack points. And I'm basically unable to out that monster because my deck just has a really hard time getting over anything over 4,000 original attack, because Conductor Tyranno is literally the peak of attack power in my deck. So it's very, very hard for me to out this card. So over the course of a couple of turns, I'm able to give him multiple tokens with Lost World's effect, and then I'm able to go ahead and summon a Conductor Tyranno off of a double evolution pill, and then basically get a Giant Rex to the field and another monster to the field, and then I can just go for a Pentastag and then just hit him for 7,000 piercing damage over the tokens. But unfortunately for me, time was called while I was in the midst of doing that, so we ended up having to scoop the game up, and we lost, so it's pretty unfortunate. Still kind of salty about it, but it's alright. In round number 3, we're up against Witchcrafter, and he starts off with the Foolish Burial Goods, sending Metaphos Fuchsia to the graveyard. So it basically acts as a Upstart Goblin, since he can just shuffle it back and draw a card. The only problem is Foolish Burial Goods is once per turn, and you're playing a brick, so it's not really as good as Upstart Goblin, but it is a draw one nonetheless. He passes his turn with that, and unfortunately I break, so I just set a monster and some back row, and I pass my turn. He normal summons Witchcrafter Jenny and then uses the effect to tribute it and send a spell from his deck to the grave. And then I believe he summons a Hane here, which is basically like the card that he's going to be using for the rest of the match. Maybe it's not Hane. I actually don't remember what this one is, but I don't remember. I think he maybe like tributes it from hand and then like summons it. I don't remember exactly, but he gets to a Hane, and Hane's effect basically says it's like a Dread by discarding a spell card. You can just target a face-up card on the field and pop it. Which is going to do a lot of damage to us, actually. And then he's able to search for his copy of Golem Aruru, so if his Hane gets targeted, he can special the Witchcrafter from hand and then bounce a card to the field. He attacks over my baby Ceratosaurus, which obviously won't get to trigger the effect, which is a little unfortunate. And then I believe that he uses By Street, which I think stops it from being targeted and destroyed by card effects. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's just like general protection. I activate Lost World, and he uses the Hane's effect, discarding his spell to pop it, and unfortunately I just don't have anything for that, so I let it go through. And then I believe on his turn he can basically use one of the Witchcrafter spells, which I think summons one from hand, and then he's able to hit me for a good chunk of damage here, I think for 4,500, maybe a little bit more. Oh wait, the Golem Aruru is a little higher, I think, of attack power. So I go down to 2,800 life points here. And then I believe that he passes his turn back to me. And then I think that I just normal summon the Petite Pteranodon here, and I attempt to attack over the Hane, and he decides to use Hane's effect before like the damage step. My idea here is that I put 2 dinos in the graveyard so I can summon a Conductor Tyranno, but since he popped my Petite, he starts my entire Dino engine, which is way better for me, so I can use the Oviraptor to send a Giant Rex to the graveyard, and then I can use the Giant Rex and the Petite for a Conductor Tyranno, and then the Giant Rex comes back, and I can overlay for a Lagia. And then I just pass my turn at that, and it's a pretty solid board of a Lagia and Conductor Tyranno, and we're holding down the board. A little more interruption than he has, so we'll see what we can do with it. I believe he goes with a By Street effect, and I think I let that go through. I don't think I negate it here. I probably should have. Or maybe I do. I don't remember. Oh no, I used the Cosmic Cyclone, which I probably shouldn't have done. I probably should have just negated it with Lagia, and then just like any back row I should have used it. And then I used the Conductor Tyranno's effect to just flip it face down by tributing over the Lagia. Then on my turn I use a double evolution pill, banishing the Lagia and the Rex. I forget to bring back Rex for some reason here, which I think actually like ends up costing me the duel basically. So I'm able to attack for a good chunk of damage here. I think if I had the Rex on the field it would have been close to game. And then I believe that he activates one of his spells. I use Cultist effect, and then he chains Gamma, which is pretty unfortunate since he gets his monster from the, I believe it's from the graveyard or from the deck, I can't remember exactly, but he gets a Hane back to the field. Then I use the effect of, I think he uses the Hane effect, which I chain Conductor, and then I chain the Survival Zen, and then I chain another Survival Zen, because I want the Survival Zen in the graveyard. So it resolves backwards. I pop the driver, summon a baby, and then my Conductor will pop it, and then it flips his face down, and then on the new chain, the copy of baby gets summoned to the field, which is pretty nice here. So I do have a good follow-up here, especially since I could Survival Zen pop his back row or anything like that, which I think I do here as well. So I Survival Zen, pop the back row, or maybe the Golem. I don't remember which one. I think I popped the Golem, yeah. And then I special Ovi, and then Ovi can get me a search again for another copy of Ovi. And then on my turn, I can use the Cosmic Cyclone, or also on the end phase. And then I can just normal summon another copy of Ovi. And yeah, the really unfortunate thing here is I think that if I had the Giant Rex, I think it would have been way better for me, unfortunately. But I can hit him for 3,600. and then I overlay for a copy of Dweller, and I pass my turn. So the idea with Dweller is that the Witchcrafter spells set themselves during the end phase. So he just sets a card and goes to the end of main. And I use Dweller, unfortunately, and then he just hits me with the Gamma, and then I lose the game there. I probably should have just waited or to like hold my Dweller. Unfortunately, I just used it way too early. And then in game number 2, I didn't really want to show it, but basically it's just Hane control. Every time I summon something, he's just able to basically just Hane pop it. So in this case, like as you're seeing on the screen right now, he's just Hane popping like my Conductor Tyranno. Basically just holding the board. I can't really do a whole lot, so I ended up losing game number 2 as well. So he takes a swift 2-0 against me, which is pretty unfortunate that I got 2-0'd by Witchcrafter. Our final match for today is against Madolche. So I believe for the first couple of minutes his camera was giving us like issues or whatever, so I just played my turn out. He started off with a Dark Ruler No More, and then he hit me with a copy of Messenger Lotto, which can search for another Madolche, so he summons a copy of the Petting Sister. And so basically, he's just able to climb into Sistart and then use the effect of Sistart to make it unaffected, just to play around like Effect Failure or anything like that. Then he could go into the rank 5, which I believe can summon one from the deck, which is like so good. So he gets an Angeli here. I think Angeli can like tribute it and summon another one. It's like a Lone Fire, I believe, which can get him into Hoot Cake, and then I think that Messenger Lotto can summon itself as well. So it's actually pretty crazy. He's able to go into a copy of a Tiramisu and just shuffle my entire board back. Obviously, I can't respond because Conductor is just like hit with a Dark Ruler No More, so I obviously can't do anything. I think that he's also able to basically just climb into a Sistart as well as a Glass Souffle for my turn. So basically he can just unaffect make one of his Madolches unaffected by card effects, and then I think the Sistart also protects everything by battle, or not everything, but I think it protects itself by battle. So I think I have another copy of Evolution Pill in my hand, which is not bad here. He also has the Madolche Trap, which is a pretty good card here. So I think you'll see a Cosmic Cyclone on my end start my turn, since it is like a really, really good card for me to hit with the Cosmic Cyclone, since the field spells don't really do a whole lot. I think it just gives them like attack power that like makes your like graveyard just like go back into your deck pretty much. So we're gonna hit him with the Cosmic Cyclone on the back row since it's pretty important. Then we're going to use an Evo Pill to banish one of, I believe, the Link Rebo, or maybe the Secure Garda, and I think something else. I banished a Coatless and a Gamma, I think, out of my hand, so that's pretty unfortunate. But you gotta do what you gotta do, so I summon a Conductor Tyrant to the field, and then basically I'm able to attack over everything. So this Madolche, like the Glass Souffle, making anything unaffected doesn't really do a whole lot here, since I could just battle over it. It's better if he just targets the Glass Souffle, so he won't take the extra damage from Conductor's effect send, since if I use the effect to send it, it will just be unaffected, he won't take the damage. So I can attack over all of his monsters, leaves him with 5,700 life points, and I pass my turn. And then basically on his turn, he's just able to, all he has to do is really just make a way to the Madolche, the Tiramisu. I think he just goes Unicorn instead and actually just shuffles it back. For some reason I put it in the graveyard here, it probably should just be in the deck, so I don't know what I'm thinking there. Unicorn does not destroy, it just shuffles back into the deck. But at this point, there's not really a whole lot I can do, since he's able to just climb into any of his Madolches and just attack me for game. So I just decided to go into game number 2. In game 2, I think we brick again, and we just draw, I think, like, miss and a couple of, like, back rows, so we just set those and basically just pass our turn. It's pretty unfortunate that we didn't draw any of the babies either, because those would have been really good, especially because you'll see that I have Umbrella here. So he uses Extravagance to draw 2 cards, which makes sense because his entire extra deck is literally just Madolche cards. Then he special summons Petting Sister, which I think can also special summon one from deck, which is pretty crazy. Usually it's not used for that effect, usually it's just used as a level 4 extender. Then he summons his copy of Glass Souffle. If he uses Glass Souffle here, it's actually kind of bad because I can just change the copy of Survival's End to pop it and the Glass Souffle before it makes itself unaffected. So he probably shouldn't have done that. He probably should have just made or just overlaid the rank 5 on top of it. But then he just normal summons Hoot Cake and then he passes his turn. So yeah, it's pretty rough, but it's honestly fine. So I use Miss Effect to special summon a Jirakiello, and then I synchro off into a Chambara. We're just going to hope to see if we can get in for damage here. I think he just uses his Solemn Judgment to just negate it, and then I have to pass my turn. So he passes, I pass my turn, and he's basically off. He's just gonna play since he has his normal summon again. So Madolches love to use their normal summon, so he's basically able to just hit me for a ton of damage here. Even with just the little ones, since they're all boosted by Chateau, I believe is what the field spell is called. He passes his turn back to me, but like realistically, I don't think I have a whole lot of plays here. As you can see, there was a baby in my hand that I probably drew for turn, so I think I just kind of have to set that, and then maybe use like Miss Effect or two, and then summon like Pankratops in the end phase, and then just hope it's enough. Hopefully he can't out it, but he probably can, since all his Madolches are pretty big. Obviously he uses the impermanence probably on this copy of Pankratops here. I chain Miss Effect. Yeah, I have 3 Miss throughout the entire match, which is pretty crazy. I drew them all pretty much, so no copies of Falso Dig. It's pretty rough. I summon back this copy of Morella to just hopefully like chunk block, since obviously I can chain to Imperm since it is a trap card. And then hopefully it's enough, but as you can see, there's like tons of monsters on the field, so he's able to just like basically just make his copy of Tiramisu and then just bounce him back. Obviously the Morella will be unaffected, but at that point he could just go into battle phase and just swing over and then punch me for game. So unfortunately we do lose this one as well. We just can't really work through a bunch of these bricks, so he's definitely a really good player. Shoutouts to him, by the way, but yeah, it was just a little unfortunate. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode. So as you can see up on the screen right now, we've played 8 matches today since we did enter 2 tournaments, although a couple of those matches ended up just getting corrupted footage, which is pretty unfortunate, but we went 4-4 record today, so 4 wins, 4 losses, which is not bad. We went 3-1, and then the next week we went 1-3, which is kind of ironic. So our overall record after today is 24 wins and 14 losses. So we're still in the, a bit higher, but today's episode was just not really the greatest in terms of win percentage, but that is going to do it for today's episode. Today marks the new format of the March 15th format. I'm just finishing this episode as the format begins, so it's going to be pretty crazy. I do have a couple of episodes from last format, so I think that the next 2 episodes will be from the previous format. I'm going to try and upload them as soon as possible, and then I'm going to start in with the new format and see what we can come up with. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next episode.